get through the level.
I know. Sorry, I've got to cut there because Alice has just woken up and is crying out. Sorry about that. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Right, he's gone now. So, here's the truth of it, right? I think he's just rubbish at the game. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a great game, fantastic. But that's, just good at it. But I don't know. I think he's probably just bad at the game. So keep that between us. So don't go saying anything because it might make him feel bad. Playing Zelda and all that that was it. He just wanted to play Zelda, didn't he? Shall I play Sephonie? No, Zelda's coming. Ditch it. I play Zelda. Well, we know.
Welcome to episode 52 of Podemup, in which we discuss narrative-driven parkour puzzle platformer Sephonie for PC. We are also, of course, discussing The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and playtest a new incoming indie, Koa and the Five Pirates of Mara. Hello, you're listening to episode 52, I think it is, of the Podemup podcast. My name is Ollie, and the man who is about to speak right about now is called Tibbs.
Hello,
there he is, I told you. Yeah, how you doing, mate?
I'm alright.
Good.
I'm alright.
Good. What you been up to? Anything
I've been up to, trying to give a cat a pill.
I know, yeah.
So I'll message you, said I'll be a bit late for the recording. We got a lovely cat. It's my girlfriend's mum's cat.
Oh, okay.
Right, 17 years old.
Yeah.
The cat, not my girlfriend's mum.
Yeah, I figured
It's got kidney problems.
Yeah.
So stopped eating. Well, massively reduced how much it was eating. Apparently the vet said that happens with kidney problems. Gave us this pill we've got to give her to make her stimulate her hunger, make her all hungry. We bought these little pill pockets, they're called. They're like little treats. They've got a little hole in the middle, like a licorice all sort, with a hole popped out.
Okay.
And you put the pill in, you squash it all around. It's meant to hide it. She was fine with that for 4 days. And then, yesterday, she just no, not having it. Give it to her, she chews it about, spits it out.
She knows. She knows there's a pill in there.
She knows.
Yeah.
She knows. So we've been we looked up all the videos online from all the experts. The Squish the Cat vet, if you know the Squish the Cat guy, Jackson Galaxy, the cat guy, the kitten lady, all the YouTube heavyweights basically when it comes to cats. Looking at the guides on how to give cats a pill. Mm-hmm. They all make it look really easy. It's not really easy at all. So, but they basically prise the cat's jaw open, put their finger right down the cat's mouth, put the pill right in the back of the throat.
Yeah, that doesn't sound remotely easy.
No, it's nailing a jelly to the ceiling would be easier to do.
God.
So,
oh dear. Oh, I'm sorry to
We've
hear
tried,
that.
yeah, we've tried it all. We tried crushing it up, mixing it with a treat. We got a tin of tuna, mixed it up with a bit of tuna. Um, so we're our wits' end with it at the moment. So we don't know what to do with the poor thing. But
Oh dear.
and then right,
Yeah.
moving like nothing to do with the cat now because the cat's lovely. I don't want anyone to blame the cat. She's a lovely cat. I've been wanting. I've got a hunger for Amiga at the moment.
Oh right, yeah.
So I've been trying to get my hands on an Amiga 1200. I can't afford it. They're insanely priced. So I dug out my granddad's old Amiga 500.
Oh, okay.
I thought I'd take it apart, give it a good old clean, put it all back together. Right, managed to cut my finger open.
Oh,
pulling
no.
because just getting the keys off because I could give the keyboard a good clean. So I pulled all the keys off, and the plastic was really sharp on one of the keys. Cut my finger like a little chunk.
Oh, really? Blimey.
Yeah.
Plastic.
Yeah.
Dear.
Yeah. So followed the guide on how to clean the read heads of the floppy drive, the read and write heads. Did that, put together. Wouldn't read the disc. So I thought, okay, well done, you've buggered that up. So I tried a few things, still couldn't get to work. So I thought, brilliant, well, you've messed it up now. So I went on eBay, ordered a new replacement floppy drive, which I couldn't really afford. But I thought, let's get up and running.
Yeah, you've come this far, you might as well.
Exactly. Then went back to it, back to put the case on. I thought I'd just mess about with it a bit more. Got the floppy drive working. So now I've got a new floppy drive coming, which I don't need.
Oh.
A cut finger and an unmedicated cat.
Yeah. Oh dear, well this doesn't sound very good for you at the moment, mate. I'm sorry to hear that.
No. And I got the private health insurance thing at work, right?
Right, yeah.
I don't know that this isn't really what you come to podemup to hear, but I'm going to tell you anyway, right? So you got this private health insurance thing at work, and it's not like normally you get your health insurance and it's like, oh, we cover this, we cover that, we cover this.
Yeah.
This one, there's like different tiers of what they cover, and you earn points based on how healthy you are, and the more points you earn, the lower your excess if you ever need to claim.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, so part of the way so they give you a discount on like a little health tracker watch. It's so annoying. It like tells you every few minutes. Well, not every few minutes. It feels like every few minutes. Time to get up and move around. It's like I've been sat down 5 minutes. I've just boiled the kettle. I'm just having a coffee. So I've turned that function off completely now.
Yeah.
And I tweeted about it the other day. It gave me a warning saying I was getting too stressed. It suggested I do some breathing exercises.
Yeah.
I was just playing lemons.
Yeah, I saw that tweet, yeah.
I was just playing lemons.
Well, I mean, I'd find lemmings quite stressful if you remember back from the episode that we covered on
yes.
it. But yeah, I'd imagine that you couldn't have been that stressed playing lemmings. I don't think.
No, well, not consciously, no. But yeah, so
I think it must be just interacting with a video game must sort of heighten your senses a bit naturally. Any video game, just something like that. Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a top tier player like me, it's your adrenaline kicks in the minute you start the game.
You're just so used to it. Yeah. You just enter that state.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that covers pretty much what's been going on today. How are you?
Oh, okay. And no games you've been playing?
Oh yeah, games. Yeah. Oh yeah. The podcasting. Yeah. Yes, I tell you what I have been playing. I played a game called Into the Breach.
Oh yeah, I've got this. I think I keep seeing it in my list of games.
It's a little strategy game.
Okay.
Right. You got 3 little robots, or mechs, or whatever the term is, little guys, and they pilot these robots. There's a bunch of islands, 4 islands, and all these insects are popping up out of the ground and kicking off, causing all sorts of trouble. Right? They reckon it's going to end the world if these insects aren't got under control. And they're coming out of the ground. They're spitting things at buildings. They're knocking things down. They're just making a right arse of themselves, if we're being honest. So these robots have come down, right? But the twist is these robots are time travelers. The people who pilot the robots are the time travelers, right?
Right.
And these insects have conquered the world in all these various timelines, and these pilots of these robots are traveling through the timelines to try and correct everything, to make sure humanity wins and overcomes. So it's just a neat little way of explaining why you can abandon the game if you're losing, and you can abandon the timeline and your pilots just shoot off into another timeline. You've refreshed the game.
Oh, yeah, that's quite good.
Yeah, it's quite good, and it's kind of like all the levels. I don't know if it's randomly generated or if there's like a set of, I don't know if it's procedurally generated or if it just picks from a pool of levels and shuffles it each time. But it's basically like a little isometric view, grid-based strategy thing. And you've got like a ranged robot who can sort of fire over 2 or 3 spaces. You've got a normal robot who can attack the space in front of it. And then you've got another robot who can shoot in straight lines, like forward or to the side, and that's it really. And the little bugs, the little insect enemies, they've got their own moves that they can do. It's turn-based strategy. It's a bit kind of like a game of chess, really. So you've got your robots can move in different robots can move in different ways.
Yeah, you're getting into these strategy games lately, aren't you?
Yeah. I got a little taste for them after XCOM. Which I still haven't forgiven for not being able to complete XCOM 2. I really annoyed me that. I'm probably not going to shut up about that for quite a while. So
just make it a segment in the show, shall we? A monthly segment.
Yeah.
This is where Tibbs rants about XCOM 2.
Is Tibbs still annoyed at XCOM? Yes.
yes.
We'll just set up a website. Is Tibbs annoyed at XCOM.com? And it's just yes.
A Twitter account that just tweets yes every day.
Yes. So I put a few hours into that. That's probably the thing I've put the most hours into, outside of the book club one. So yeah. What about you?
I've been playing this tiny little game. It's a little indie thing. You probably haven't even heard of it. It's that Zelda Tears of the Kingdom thing. I mean, no one's talking about it, so it's just one of those little things. Probably no. Just, yeah. It's not getting much coverage on the old internet. I've been playing that.
It's good.
It's good. Yeah, it is good. Yeah, it's very good. I mean, I've written. Do you know what? I've written loads and loads of notes on here about it. I just started writing, and then it just kept going and writing. And
Can I just ask something about it quickly?
Yes,
right. Because I'm not familiar with Zelda as a series, as you know.
Yes.
We've played the ones we played, but generally you're more au fait with it than me.
Yeah.
So, what was the last one?
So Breath of the Wild was the last one.
Breath of the Wild, right?
Yes.
So I seen videos of Breath of the Wild, and in the early stage of the game, he's just in his underwear.
Yes.
Right? He's just walking about, and he seems to be happy like that. But I presume there's a story justification for that.
Yeah, well, he's been asleep for like 100 years, I think, in that one.
In the sequel, in this new one, right? I saw footage of it. It's the same. Like, did he not keep it? Did he not keep the stuff from the first one?
He did. At the very beginning, he does have all the stuff.
Right.
And you're walking through these sort of underground tombs underneath the castle with Zelda, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, in this one, it's the same. This is a direct sequel from Breath of the Wild, so this is the same Link and Zelda, unlike most Zelda games where it's taken place in a completely different time zone with different people being in those roles. But this is a direct sequel, so they're having a little wander around underneath the castle for some reason. They find this tomb with a mummy in it. The mummy wakes up and is all powerful and lifts the whole castle up into the sky. So it sends Zelda off into this sort of portal, other dimension, and Link wakes up in the sort of floating ruins above Hyrule. There's loads of other floating stuff happening above the land. But yes, he wakes up in his pants again.
Why would it steal its clothes?
Well, he's looked after by this ghost and these robot things. But they've fixed his arm because his arm was like broken in the thing. It was destroyed, I think. So they've sort of resurrected his arm. But in order to do that, they had to take his clothes off, I suppose. So that's
fair.
why.
I mean, if you got the tech to fix an arm, you can stick the clothes in the dryer or something, can't you? But
All right, thanks for the arm and everything, but seriously, what's happened to my clothes? Come on.
Yeah,
What's going on here? What sort of shenanigans have you been up to? Yeah.
What's going on? And it's I haven't played it. I haven't played the new. It's the same thing I've got with Star Wars, whatever the new Star Wars one is, Jedi, whatever.
Yeah.
The last one was Fallen Order, I think. And through the game, you build up all your force skills and all that kind of stuff. The new one's meant to be a direct sequel to that. So I can't wait to find out how they explain how he's going to lose all his force powers and just like reset himself back to, because you're obviously not going to start the game with all your superpowers that you built up through the last one.
Yeah,
it's just one of those funny things when they do sequels to games like this.
They just sort of reset it. Yeah,
yeah, it's just like
yeah. Funnily enough, Link starts with loads and loads of hearts that you would have accrued from the previous game, but then when he wakes up, he's only back down to 3. And I think what the events of that sort of strip him of his power, his hearts and his powers and his clothes, obviously, and mostly the things you learn are new abilities anyway.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I know there's no avoiding it really, because I mean you can't really start a game with all the power. But I don't know. I don't know what else I expect them to do.
It's always the same.
Amusing.
It's always the same with the Metroidvania as well, because that seems to be a common trope where you start out fully powered and you're going around kicking ass, and you've got all these moves and everything, and you're awesome, and then something happens to take them all away.
I'll have those.
And you have to gradually spend the entire game recollecting them. It's weird. They don't need to do that, but they seem to do that a lot in that genre. It's really strange, isn't it? There's no actual reason to start with all the powers, but anyway.
No, exactly.
What's the point of that? I don't really understand that. Yeah. But anyway.
And surely it'd be more fun if you didn't know what the powers you were going to get, and you just had the joy of discovering it as you went along, rather than just
there's that thing I had at the beginning of the game, but for some reason don't anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's been getting good reviews though. The new Zelda.
Yeah, it is. I like it. I've got a little bit mixed feelings so far, just in the stage I am, because it feels very familiar in as much as the map of Hyrule is, I would say, exactly the same as the previous one. So I think maybe some of the landmass has changed, like it's set a little bit ahead of time, so the buildings have changed and things like that, but the general feel of the land and all the places are in the same place, and it all looks the same, like visually and everything. So more so than a normal Zelda game where you expect everything to be different, it feels very much like the same game at the moment. But I haven't really kicked things off. Like in the last game, there's 4 main sort of chunks of the story that you have to go to these places and do this series of quests to get to go in the dungeon and fight the boss there and progress the story. I haven't done any of that yet. I've just been wandering around trying to raise my hearts by doing these little mini dungeons called shrines, and trying to actually find some armor and better weapons and things like that, which is what I was doing in the last game. So it does feel very familiar at the moment. But one thing that is new, and it's kind of the selling point of it that people have been messing around with, is this ability to stick any physics object to any other physics object and construct things, and that's how you solve a lot of the puzzles. Like, early on, you find there's like a river that you need to cross, and you can't do it. So there's trees all around, so you chop down the trees, you tie some trunks together, you stick a sail on it, and then you can sail across. You can build a little boat. Cool. I mean, it's very inventive. People have been taking it to the extreme, making like these war machines, because you can get like these gadgets and things like fans and bombs and all sorts of things as you progress through the game. There's things I haven't even touched yet, but yeah, you can make like all sorts of crazy contraptions and things and solve problems and beat enemies in all sorts of crazy ways. It's a little bit like a far more advanced version of Overblood 2, if you like. I don't think anyone's compared these two games so far.
I was going to say that's got to be the only place where they'll compare Zelda to Overblood 2.
Or indeed compare Overblood 2 to anything, probably.
Well, yes.
But it's in similar ways to what we were talking about on that episode. This is it, kind of much more fully realised. So yeah, just today I was playing it, and I had to, like in a lot of open world games, there's towers, and getting into the tower, you can see that part of the map, and it becomes you can see what's there. But getting into the towers is a tricky bit, and they're all different. And the one that I found today was surrounded by these sharp vines. But the sharp vines can only be got rid of by fire. There's one right in front of the door. So, but it's raining in this area constantly. So when you start a fire, the rain puts it out. So I had to construct like a cover over the entrance to stop it from putting the fire out, and then put the fire on under there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and another one that was really up high, surrounded by enemies, and they put like a fort there so you couldn't climb over their barricades. So I had to literally just get loads of tree trunks together, tie them end to end to create like a massive pole to lean across it, and then climb up the pole and then go over it. So it's things like that, and I'm only scratching the surface, as I've played it a lot this week, but I'm probably not. A little bit less than 10 hours in maybe, and it's easily a 60-70 hour game. You could speed through it quicker than that, but I'm in it for the long haul really.
Well, yeah, I think a game like that it's you're not meant to rush through it, are you? I think a lot of it is you are exploring it and experimenting. Yeah,
like the previous one, there's so many things. Just wandering around is a joy because you'll constantly get distracted and pulled away by different things. There's loads of little side quests and little things, little tiny missions and things to do. So it's amazing, really. It is amazing. But I'm still early on. I need to play it more. I'll have much more feedback on the next episode and probably the one after that as well. So I don't think I'll be playing much else for the time being, but it'll just be a monthly Zelda update really for me.
That means you're going to have to put Chrono Trigger on the back burner again.
Well, I'll talk about this in a minute, but I did a stream a couple of nights ago.
Oh yes,
and Rick was on it, and he asked me how am I what happened to Final Fantasy IX, which I have put back on the back burner. I will get back to that, but I think the last time I played it was in July last year, so it's just one of those things. Things keep coming up, and I like, it's difficult to come back to an RPG, isn't it? But I do intend to. I still on the second disc, I think, but it's one of those that I will get back to.
It is difficult. Because I mean, even if you look up all the, you can look up a story recap or something like that up to the point where you were, no problem. But it's remembering all the little nuances of the battle systems and
that's right. Yeah, it's so
all that kind of stuff.
I wouldn't. If you're going to start an RPG, I'd recommend seeing it through and not just like leaving it. But yeah, there's a lot of other games that I've done that over the years. Skies of Arcadia, I did that as well, which you very kindly gifted to me once on the GameCube.
I did, on the GameCube.
I did start it. I put about 8 hours into it, but then Alice was born, and it all got a bit hectic, and I had to leave it, and I've never returned to it. But one day I just feel like I'm going to just pick up where I left off and try and figure out what the hell's going on. I think I might have to restart that one, to be honest, because I remember it being a little bit more complicated. News. Did you have any news to talk about?
I'm sure there was.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
No, there must be something. Some controversial happening.
Well, there was that. I don't have anything to say about it at all, really. But that Microsoft acquisition of, was it Blizzard and Activision being blocked by the UK? No,
I don't really have much to say about that, to be honest.
Me neither. That's probably like a major story for like any other podcast. But like, it's not our bag. Don't care really.
No, I don't. I can't say I really care. I don't know if there's any Activision games I'm particularly interested in. Like, there probably is, but when I think of Activision, I just think Call of Duty and all that kind of stuff. It's just not. It's just not my cup of tea.
If Microsoft want it, they can have it. Well, I'm not really bothered to.
Yeah, I can't say I'm interested in that.
No.
There was Nintendo taking down a bunch of stuff, but I mean, that's not really a monthly news.
That's not news, barely news, really, isn't it? That's just
business as usual. That really.
Yeah, well, they were because Tears of the Kingdom leaked a couple of weeks early, and they freaked out about it. But honestly, I mean, it sold 10 million, so I don't think they needed to worry, really. Honestly.
No.
Yeah.
No, so slim pickings as far as news goes, I think.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've got a little incoming indie to talk about.
Oh, cool. Sorry, that sounded really. That
sounded really.
really disingenuous. But
Oh,
wasn't.
Cool. Okay.
Oh, tell me more. But no, it wasn't. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm genuinely interested.
Incoming Indie.
So this is Koa and the Five Pirates of Mara. Very cute little 3D platformer, combining the looks of Wind Waker with a fixed camera style similar to Super Mario 3D World. I think I knew about the previous game. You pointed it out to me the other day. What's the Summer of Mara? Is the previous
Summer
one?
of Mara? Yeah.
I think that was more of a life sim kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a farming sim.
Yeah. I backed that on Kickstarter.
Well, this is a platforming sequel to that. So you're a very cute little sort of island girl, I think, kind of running around doing platformy things. It's got some great soundtrack. Very, very cute sort of animation. She's sort of at a normal walking speed. She sort of skips along, and it's great. So I've been able to play a beta demo of it, which I streamed the other night. The makers of the game made it available to sort of content producers such as ourselves, so I took the opportunity to snap it up. Luckily, they gave me a key just in time for this episode. And yeah, it's got 4 levels and a little hub world to explore in it. The levels sort of range, I think they're in different worlds, and they sort of range in difficulty. You got a fairly straightforward one, and then slightly more challenging, just platform ones. There's one where you had to get 5 keys to open the door at the end. They're relatively short, sort of 5-minute levels, but there's probably my favourite at the end was this volcano one where it was like an auto running thing where you just had to jump and dodge things and jump on platforms, and that was really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the Summer in Mara had I'm probably really easily pleased, but I only backed it because the Kickstarter had some great artwork of a happy pig.
That's all it takes to get you to back a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think it was a pig who saw an apple, and he was really happy to see the apple or something like that. But I remember thinking, that's good. That's good.
Have my money.
Take my money. But yeah, I really love the art style on Summer in Mara. So
it was very
from
similar.
what I've seen of the new one, it's very much in the same vein in terms of the art style. So
yeah, I think the characters
really
are a little
nice.
bit more sort of squat and big-headed, sort of chibi-ish. But yeah, it's nice. I mean, if I had to find any fault at all, and it might just be a matter of getting used to it, but a couple of the controls I would have changed just a little bit. I looked for options to reconfigure the buttons, but they weren't there, and it's got a run button, which is the X button, which you end up doing quite a lot because the walk is very slow. So I find I was holding that button quite a lot, and it would have been better on the trigger, I feel, just sort of quite a small thing. And there's a roll move, which is really fun and adds quite a lot of sort of precarious momentum to it, but it's quite tricky to pull off because you had to, while you're falling, you couldn't just do it from a standing point. You had to jump, and then as you're falling, press X. And it's quite difficult to get the timing right. I ended up trying to keep tapping it, So it might just be there might be a good reason why they've done that, because they must have done it for a reason, I guess. So as you play the game and get used to it, it might make a bit more sense. But those are just a couple of thoughts I had while playing it. If you want to check out the stream I did, it's currently available on our Twitch account, which is twitch.tv/podemup. Played it for about 45 minutes or so, it's worth a watch.
Yeah, I think the Kickstarter's still got a couple of weeks to go as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you wanted to...
Did I even say this was a Kickstarter? Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Oh well, it is, and it's doing incredibly well already. It's always been funded about 8 times over, so it's not in any danger of not being made.
No, which is good in one way. But this is a complaint I had about Summer in Mara.
Yeah.
That was the same. It did really well on Kickstarter. So obviously, when I got my code to download it, went into the credits, took so long to find my name in the credits.
Oh, yeah.
Just page after page after page of backers. Oh, what a nightmare, honestly.
It's not worth it, is it, really?
It's barely worth it, to be honest. No. No, it's good that it's getting back, though. That's great.
That's
nice.
Yes, no, it's been very successful, and it's I played the Steam version, but it's also coming to Switch and PS4 and PS5, and physical versions are coming.
I'm going to say physical version as well.
Yeah. So it's it's looking lovely. I think it's coming quite soon in August. I think. I'm sure I saw. I should probably check that really, but let's just say it's August. Yeah, quite soon. So yeah, if you like platformers, 3D ones, then that is one to watch. Right, so we talk about this game you've picked called Sephonie.
I suppose
Next.
we better do that, yeah.
After the break,
Why not?
we're going to be moving into our book club pick of the month, which is called Sephonie, and we'll do that in a minute.
The Video Game Book Club.
Welcome back. Today we are talking about Sephonie. This was developed for PC and Mac OS X by Milos Hantani and Marina Kitaka, and published by Analgesic Productions. I hope I've got all those names right.
I think it's analgesic.
Analgesic. Thank you. Analgesic. It was released in April 2022 and can be purchased on Steam and GOG for £16.75. Console versions seem to be in the works for the future, but are not currently available. I think last episode we said that they were, but I think that was just Google telling us incorrect information, I think. So I've paraphrased this next bit from their Steam page because it explains it better than I could. So the synopsis is: in the near future, biologists Amy Lim, Ryu Hayashi and Ingwen Lin are on a joint mission to use their state-of-the-art onyx implants to research the creatures of the uninhabited Sephonie Island. But as they approach the island, a sudden storm leaves them shipwrecked. The trio will find their motivations and loyalties put to the test as they navigate Sephonie's caverns, facing not only physical challenges but also their deepest memories and dreams. As they grow more intimate with each other and the island, an ancient force brewing deep in the island's abyss may threaten their newfound relationship and the world. So this is a 3D platformer.
Yeah.
Essentially, a 3D puzzle platformer. What made you pick this?
I saw it. There's I think a YouTuber I've mentioned before, Nitro Rad. Really good channel. If you like 3D, 2D platformers, any kind of platform game really, that's kind of what he specialises in. He does all sorts of things, but and he did a video about lesser known platformers, a sort of a roundup of platformers you might have missed, and this was in his list. And the way he described it just made it sound exactly like a podemup game. So I thought, let's give it a go. Yeah. So yeah, it's Nitro Rad who's responsible for this. But
okay. Thank you, Nitro Rad. Very unusual sort of game, I found.
Yeah,
I liked it. It was good.
I don't want to sound like I'm being. It's tricky. I do like the game.
Yeah,
I do like the game. But I find it hard to recommend. I think
kinda.
It's kind of. It feels a bit inaccessible. Once it clicks with you, it's okay.
Yes.
But I think it kind of makes you work to. You have to put the effort in to get the most out of it, I think. I found the controls very awkward. I didn't find it much. The actual platforming and the core gameplay of navigating the levels, I didn't really find that enjoyable, to be honest.
I kind of got into it. It took a while, as you said. Initially, I was quite confused a little bit because I wasn't quite sure what sort of game to expect. Like, you go in and the first area is more quite of an open area, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but you have to find these creatures and connect with them using this Onyx system, which initiates a puzzle game. But I kind of thought it was more of an open platformer where you go around exploring and finding these creatures, and it ends up, after that initial level, it ends up being much more linear and much more sort of platform focused. And then the creatures kind of come in at certain points. And it took me a while to really get my head around the kind of game it wanted to be.
Yeah.
In terms of genre and in terms of those sort of mechanics and things. Once I got, okay, this is more of a linear platform, and it's kind of a parkour thing, and you've got these particular moves. And it was actually quite interesting because I would call it a puzzle platformer, in the sense that it's not just a simple case of running around, jumping on platforms, killing enemies. You know, a very, very straightforward, you know exactly what you've got to do and how to do it sort of thing, and it's all skill-based. This is more, it's more about puzzles, but again, a puzzle platformer I would normally associate with things like you push a block to put down a switch, and then you try and there's puzzles involving objects
Voodoo
and things
Vince.
you need to, like Voodoo Vince, you need to interact with. This is more puzzles in the sense that there's a ledge there, and I've got a certain array of moves that I can use. In what order do I use those moves and where in order to get to that ledge?
Yeah.
And once I got that, that's the kind of gameplay it was going for, I actually quite enjoyed it. But it did take a little while to get there. And there's a general sense of the presentation as well, and the kind of the characters, and I don't know, the themes of it. Takes itself quite seriously.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely got a particular message,
Yes.
a particular, I don't know, philosophy, I suppose, that it wants to get across. It's definitely a game with a message.
Yes, and I didn't quite get a lot of it, as in there's segments where after finding these key species, you see glimpses of the characters' pasts and their memories and things, and they're quite sort of, some of the memories are quite mundane things and quite, part of their life, and they sort of come in randomly, and it was kind of, I didn't quite get that, do you know what I mean?
Well, I suppose it's not a spoiler per se, because if you were to watch Nitro Rad's video, he basically discusses this aspect of it as well. But I think it's the fact that the people are sent to the island to study the island and study the flora and fauna of the island. But I think there's an entity or a spirit of the island itself, or the island itself, depending on how you interpret it, that's just equally interested in studying them. So I think that the mundane flashbacks and things, I think that's the island studying them. What may seem mundane to them was just a thing that might be of great interest to to this entity, in the same way that you might investigate when you use your Onyx thing to examine a funny flower on a wall.
Yeah.
In that flower's existence, it's not doing anything out of the ordinary. It's just it's just doing what it does. But to us, that's of huge interest, huge scientific interest. And I think it's kind of like an inversion of that. Whereas, someone just going about their day-to-day life, not doing anything in particular, but to an outside entity, that could be it could be fascinating. I think that's kind of what I took from it.
Oh, that makes sense, actually. Yeah, I never really thought about that, but yeah, that's probably kind of the philosophy behind it. I feel like we're diving into this without maybe fully explaining it. So they arrive on this island. There are 3 biologists, and they're being sent to this island to discover these unusual creatures that live on it. And it becomes apparent that the island is sort of sentient, and there's a sort of a character form that it takes. And that's not so much a spoiler, because the player meets this character immediately at the very beginning of the game. For some reason, he's riding on a train. I didn't quite get with that, but I think at the very beginning, it kind of takes place in the future, and essentially the whole game is told as a flashback kind of thing, isn't it?
That's how I interpreted it. Yeah, I think a lot of it is quite abstract and open to interpretation,
Yes.
really. So you can play it and take something completely different away from it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. That's quite an interesting. It's always an interesting take.
It's also quite possible the dev might listen to this and think, "What a couple of dances! That's not what I meant at all."
No, I know, because this game is you sort of if you dig into this online, a lot of people really sort of resonate with this game, really like it. Someone who responded to my tweet on looking for comments about it, they made we'll get to that later, but they made a 3-hour video going through it, and they really liked it.
Oh wow!
So I'll give them a shout out later. But people really get this game, and I feel a bit guilty that maybe I didn't in beyond the platform bit, which I think I did get, but the actual point of the story. Admittedly, I didn't finish it. I got 3 of the 5 main species. So if I'd finished it, I might have got understood it. So take that as a caveat for anything I say about the sort of the story. I didn't finish it, admittedly. I didn't see what happened in the end. So I'm guessing all this stuff kind of makes a little bit more sense the further you go into it.
I would kind of agree with that. I liked it, but I don't think it didn't resonate with me the way it seems to have done with a lot of other people.
Well, yeah, I'd agree with that as well, yeah.
It's one of these games that I think it's really got a cult following. Maybe it's kind of like Undertale in that sense. The people who like it tend to really, really like it.
Yeah.
And other people, other people just either they just don't get it, or they're just not fussed either way.
I think it's good that we have games like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Not every game is for everyone. In fact, no single game is for everyone. So, and I like that there are these quite sort of esoteric games that, you may not get, but the people who do get really love them. That's the kind of games we cover a lot on this show. So you're right in the sense that it does fall into that sort of podemup category.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to name particular games because I don't really want to get into like putting the boot into games. But I've played quote unquote art games before, or games that have a message they're trying to convey or things like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think they're not very good. I could think of a few off the top of my head that I played. There's one in particular I'm thinking of about a forest. That's all I'll say. If anyone who's played it will know what one I mean. It's about some woods and yeah.
Okay.
Don't like it. I'm not. I could tell you what it is. In fact, I'll tell you after the show. But I just don't want to get into like one of these. Oh, this game's crap. This game's crap. Because that's not it.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
It's just the fact. I think a lot of the times with the sort of games where they're trying to convey a message of some kind. Sometimes that doesn't necessarily translate into games. It doesn't play to the strength of games as a medium.
Yeah.
They've got this idea that they want to convey, and a lot of the time the gameplay just isn't there to back it up. So you end up with a game that's not very good and a story that's probably quite good. This one I think is different in that I think the gameplay is there. I would prefer some slightly tighter controls. I didn't really get on with the controls, and I think that spoiled my enjoyment of it a lot. And that's definitely a skill issue with me.
Yeah.
But I think it's got all the elements there. It's got a good story to back it up. It's got fairly decent gameplay. If you can get to grips with it and you can learn the parkour mechanics and it all clicks. If it all clicks into place with you, I think you could have a really good time with it, and you probably appreciate it, and it will resonate with you in the way it has for so many other people. But I think with me, the pieces just didn't mesh properly with me, and I didn't. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Yeah, you like it, but you also don't. But once I did get into it, it took me a little while to really understand what point of it was and what he was going for. But once you do a couple of those sort of linear platforming things, I did actually find it quite engrossing in a way. I did want to keep coming back to it every night for a time until Zelda came along anyway. But
it doesn't. Maybe I should explain. Talking about the controls, it doesn't control like a normal platformer, really.
No, it is a bit
it's
different.
Not like, it's not like you imagine that any other 3D platformer. You move forward, back, left, right, and you've got jump. There's actually a tutorial box that pops up that tells you. I can't remember what it says, but it says to think of it more like a racing game or something, isn't it? It's like,
well, there's a run trigger that you can do to run, and there at that point the controls change more to like a racing game where you're moving forward and left sort of rotates a bit rather than strafes, I guess. Or
it just didn't work with me.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get. I just couldn't get.
It was a bit fiddly, that run.
Yeah.
And the wall run that you have to go then on to use with the run,
Yeah, and like I say, I'll hold my hands up. It's totally a skill issue on my part. But if I could have got to grips with it, I'd have probably had a lot more fun with it. But I find that a real obstacle because I just couldn't. I just kept wishing that the controls were a little bit tighter and a little bit more, just a bit more of a traditional control scheme.
I
probably enjoyed it a lot more.
It is interesting how they've gone for certain things. Like normally you would have a double jump just with two taps of the A button or whatever, but in this one you can double jump, but it has to be against a wall. So when you jump into a wall, you get this sort of circle in front on the wall, and at that point that tells you that you can do a double jump, and then you can jump up to a higher place. Initially I found that was really weird and very odd.
Yeah, it just felt like sometimes if I was getting to a place, in the level, I wasn't sure if I was getting to it the correct way, or if I was just kind of mashing my way through it and just, like sometimes you get in a game where you just, jump up on the scenery and just keep jumping until eventually you get over to where you're supposed to go. You kind of like fudge your way through it. There's times where I wasn't sure if I was doing that. Am I just bumbling through this, or is this how the way you're intended to get through the level? And
yeah, I know. Let's talk about the puzzle bit, because that's that was quite a nice little mini game. I thought I did quite enjoy that. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I did enjoy it. I wasn't sure. It took me again. This is just a skill issue with me, I think. But I didn't get it at first. I think I was I think I was looking for something more complicated than it is.
Yes.
It's actually quite an elegant little puzzle.
Yeah.
But I think I was expecting it to be more complicated, and it wasn't, which I liked.
Yes. There are complexities to it, but I found they didn't really matter. Like as you go on, there's more elements get introduced, but you could kind of just work your way around them, and it was very forgiving. Like there wasn't really any way to fail, really. But I did find that quite relaxing. It's like a nice, relaxing version of Tetris almost.
Yeah, it is,
without any peril, really. And it's got lovely music playing in the background.
Oh, the music's great.
I love that. The whole soundtrack is really kind of relaxing and really, really nice. But in particular, that bit, I love that. It was one of the strong points of the whole game, really. I actually look forward to finding a creature and just having another go at the little puzzle game. So you've got like a sort of irregular grid of squares, obviously, and then you've got these little tetrominoes, and I looked up the name of the three version of tetrominoes, which I've written down somewhere. I think it's trominos.
I suppose that makes sense. Domino, tromino.
Yeah, I should check that. I think it's trominos. Yeah, it's quite nice. So you get these trominos and tetrominoes, and you've got to fit them in the grid, but they're all color coded, so you need to match up the colors next to each other, like Puyo Puyo, I suppose. So kind of a cross between the two, really, and it's kind of but so once you get more than 3 or 4 squares together, you put them together and they sit there for a bit, and then once you've reached a point where you can't fit any more tetrominoes and trominos in, you press the trigger, and then all the ones that were connected to 4 or more disappear.
Yeah.
And you get a little more progress on your progress bar, and then you just keep going, and you carry on going until the bar is filled. And at that point, you've sort of interfaced with them using the Onyx thing, and you understand the creature, and then it says a little bit of information about what the creature does. I really like that. It was really nice.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. There's like it gets a bit more, like you say, there's more complexity to it as it goes on. There's like certain squares that do certain things, and certain squares that will only
Yeah,
just only respond to certain colours, and some of them will swap the colours around. I think was one of them. Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's
yeah,
good.
yeah. I liked it. Interesting graphical style because in the whole game really, because it's quite low poly, but it's not like PlayStation low poly, is it? It's a little bit of a step up from that. It's almost
Yeah,
like it reminded me of like an sort of 2000s kind of PC game by the
yeah,
look of it. Like
yeah.
it's
Slight a
it's
step above sort of PS1, like you say,
yeah,
but not quite.
like PS2 maybe something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it was quite consistent throughout the whole game.
One thing I would have liked to have seen would be a bit of because you can switch the characters at any point. You can switch
Yes.
between the three characters with just a button press. You can swap to a different character. I would have liked it if they'd had like different abilities and
Yeah, me
things.
too. I think that's would have made a bit of sense. I think to
Hmm.
do that. It's nice that you can choose the one you want, but I wasn't really bothered by who I was playing as a result of that. Really,
That's the thing. It didn't really get, other than the fact that you might prefer one character over another. It just kind of, I felt it kind of like reduced them to just character skins rather than actual
Yes.
characters.
Yeah, I think a little bit
Um,
more personality coming through in the way they move, or
yeah,
their move sets and things. Yeah, would have been nice.
yeah, something like I'm gonna say this is probably the only show on the world that's going to compare Sephonie to Sonic Heroes, but um,
Funnily, well, not quite actually, because that video also briefly
oh
mentioned Sonic
really?
Heroes in terms of switching between three characters.
Oh,
Yes.
cool. Yeah, I was going to say something like that would have been, so one character is slower, but can, I don't know,
Punch
bash through a
punch through
wall or
things.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one character can jump higher, one of them's a bit
Yeah.
speedier to make the wall. You could do a wall run for a bit further or something like
Well,
that.
part that adds to part of the puzzle as well, because you're like, oh,
Mm,
which character do I need for this particular puzzle? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel maybe a trick was missed there in terms of gameplay. Anyway. Yeah.
yeah. But all in all, I think I enjoyed it. It's not a bad game at all. I'd say it's a good game.
It is a good game.
But
Yeah, I feel like we've been down on it.
yeah,
It's
I think it's because the way Nitro Rad talked about it and the way other people talk about it online, it's obviously really struck a chord with them, and it
mm,
didn't quite strike that same chord with me. And I think
yes. That's the
that's
only.
probably
Yeah, if you
yeah.
didn't know anything about it, then you might have come to it from a different angle, really, and say,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, if if you'd never heard of it before, as it is, it's a good platformer, an interesting one, a very interesting take on platform that you don't normally see. It's almost as if like one of those games where it it's in that genre, but the creator almost hasn't played much of that genre, so they've come to it with new approaches that haven't been like
Hmm.
influenced by other things that are standard to the genre. So they come up with new ideas and new ways of doing things, and it's not right or wrong. It's just a bit different. So it had that feel to it, like a platformer that was made
Yeah.
almost by someone who doesn't normally play platformers. If that's
Yeah.
not too an insulting way of doing
No,
it,
no, I know what you mean. It's certainly not meant in an insulting way.
No,
I think I think and that's a good way to approach things sometimes. That's how innovation comes about. I
exactly.
think.
If you get so immersed in one genre and one thing, you say, oh, it always has to have this. It always has to be like this.
Mm,
But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you can come up with a completely different idea that's never been done before.
yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah, I would say give it a try. I think I mean, it's like £16 at the moment. You could do a lot worse for 16 quid
Yeah.
on the Steam store, to be honest.
Mm.
So,
Mm. It was on
you
sale for £13 when we first talked about it
yeah,
last episode as well. So yeah, keep an eye out if you want to get it for a little bit lower. I'll read the comment that at Yoppi_media has left us. It really struck a chord with him. I haven't looked at the whole video, but I looked a little bit earlier today, and it's he really loves it. So he says, I made a 3-hour YouTube video about Sephonie, so I have a lot of thoughts, lol. But in terms of the level design, I thought it was really cool how the opening cave feels like a natural space where the platforms are grounded in reality, but then they do the opposite in later caves. And then another tweet, I really liked how they used the surreal layouts in places like Amy's level to reinforce themes in the story purely with the level design. Not something you see too often in games, I think. Yeah, I only just sort of started to scratch the surface of that later on, like the sort of the third, going to the third main species, you start to play a very surreal city-based level that it feels like it's been made from that particular character's history and their mind, what's in their mind and their memories and things, and you could only play as that character in that level. So, and I assume the same then happens for the other two characters as well. So it kind of connects their past with a physical place. So that was quite an interesting turn. As I say, I kind of wish I played more of it or just watched the rest of it on a video or something, because we might have completely different things to say if we've done that. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Like I say, it's a very abstract game.
Yes.
I think you could get 5 people play it and come away with 5 completely different, interpretations of what the game is, what the game's about, or and that's great. But it's not for everyone. I think that's the thing. I sound like I feel really bad. I feel like we're letting Yoppi down because he obviously really likes it.
I know. I feel a bit guilty. Sorry, Yoppi.
And it's like, he's going to tune into the podcast and be like, oh, these guys are idiots. They've missed the point completely.
Yeah. I mean, we probably have. I mean, I've had that before. Recently, Video Game Dad's podcast, which is a great podcast, covered Incredible Crisis, which we loved.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
They didn't get it at all. They thought it was just a load of weird mini games, and they didn't really see the humor and the personality in it. And I was like, no, but you didn't get it. You didn't. What are you thinking? It's great. It's hilarious. Yeah. But they didn't seem to find it that funny or entertaining. And they didn't even mention the Ferris wheel level. I mean, how you can talk about that game without mentioning the Ferris wheel level? But it just goes to show not everyone comes to the same conclusions of a game. So it's
the thing is, I think I don't want to get too sort of meta regarding video game discourse as a whole.
Yes.
But I think it's quite interesting the fact that we're both like, oh no, should we be saying more about this?
Should we like it? Should we praise it? Yeah.
Should we be apologising for it not connecting with us? When I think really it's fine to just not connect with the game.
Yeah.
And it's fine that they didn't like Incredible Crisis, and it's fine that we did. And I think, everything's so polarized these days where, if, like, say Zelda, if some website gave the new Zelda game 7.5 out of 10 instead of 9 out of 10, people lose their minds.
Yeah.
They get so angry about it. And I think, it's just, they're just games. They're fun. They're good.
That's right.
They're good.
They're doing their best. They're going for a particular idea. They've got a vision. And whether they achieve that vision or not is, constraints and everything. But at the end of the day, you're either going to like it or you're not. You're either going to get it or you're not. There's sometimes you'll find a really bizarre game that really floats your boat that no one else really gets. But it's just the way things are.
Yeah, it's strange that with games though, it seems to be like, I don't know, it's much more emotive with games. Like if you saw the new Fast and Furious film, and I said, "What do you think of it?" and you said it was rubbish, and I said, "Well, I thought it was really good," you'd be like, "Okay," and then that'd be the end of it. But if it's a game and you say, "What do you think of it?" It's all right. What do you mean it was all right? Brilliant.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay. I don't know what it is about games that sort of provokes that, but yeah, I mean we're getting too far into the weeds, I think. But I think it's good.
It's good. Yeah, it's a good game. It's not a bad game by any means.
No,
it's interesting. It's got some interesting ideas, and I'd encourage anyone to try it because you might
lovely
love
soundtrack.
It. Yeah, really nice
lovely
soundtrack,
art style.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't the I didn't get the same experience as a lot of the big fans of it got, I think. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough. I also just wanted to thank @Mattia Harlequin for a late comment on Twitter that came in after the recording. He says, really good game. I found many inspirations from Evangelion in it, from the opening train scene to the main theme about personal and cultural borders where a person starts and finishes entering contact with others. I wonder if it is just me or the anime was an active reference. I'm afraid I couldn't comment, Mattia, as I only know of the anime. I've never actually seen it myself, but thanks all the same. Right then, so, oh, by the way, before Yoppi's on YouTube, do check out that video because it does look really good, even though I haven't seen all of it. But he goes through the whole thing, a bit like that other video that we of Overblood 2. You know, it's watching the whole thing. Maybe it would have changed my mind about it. To be honest, I probably should have sat down and watched the whole thing.
It's probably a better analysis than what we've given.
Yeah, I'm almost certainly his 3-hour video is much better than what we've covered. But anyway, go and check it out. I think he's just Yoppi on YouTube. But he's Yoppi_media on Twitter. So, yeah, go and check him out. Right, next month, we are playing, this is my pick, the first in a series that I want to get into. Okay. This game has its origins on the Game Boy Color. It is a late Game Boy Color release.
Oh, can I take a guess?
Yeah.
Is it Shantae?
It is Shantae.
Oh, what guess?
Have you played it, the original?
Yeah.
You have? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good. Well, yes, it's like a little Metroidvania, isn't it, sort of thing? Mm. Yes, platformer.
I've played. Well, I say I've played Shantae. I've played the modern ones. I've not played the original game.
Oh, you haven't played the original? Okay, so this will be... Yeah, I've played Pirate's Curse, which I think is the third one, a little bit, but that's all. And it's a series that I want to get into, so I thought we'd start at the beginning, and have a little play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be... It's way forward, isn't it? It's supposed to have a lot of charm, nice, funny wit and characters and things like that. So yeah. So yeah, go and play that. It is. It was on the Game Boy Color. An original version is quite steep in price, I think, but it is on the Switch currently, and at the beginning of June. So by the time we record the next podcast, it will be on the PS4 and PS5 as well, the original. So all the series are on those modern platforms now, I think. So yeah, go and check that out. Play along with us, and we'll talk about it next time. So in the meantime, you can reach us. We are podemup@gmail.com. We are at podemup on Twitter, and podemup.live is our website, and twitch.tv/podemup is the Twitch channel which we occasionally use to stream the games that we're playing. I haven't got my keys up, but I'm still giving out Steam keys to anyone who wants them.
Oh, we got some proper Bobby dancers.
We do. Let me bring it up and I'll read out because we've added some more. See if this floats your boat. Because the thing is about this is the longer people leave it, the more games that will come up, and they might get one. I should hold out for that better game later on. But anyway, let's just bear with me. I should have done this earlier. I completely forgot. I've got a list of keys here. So we have got Biomutant. We've got Death Stranding Director's Cut. We've got Spiritfarer Farewell Edition. We've got Alien vs Predator Collection. We've got Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and we got Hot Shot Racing as well, which was given away free on Fanatical, which I already have. So I got it, and I've added the Steam key to the list. That's a nice little flat shaded classic retro racing game.
It's good.
Yeah, we got loads of them. Got loads of Sonic games. We've got Street Fighter 5. We've got Blazing Chrome, and you can get one of the keys for these Steam games just by emailing in or tweeting in and saying, hello, I'm a listener and I've been listening since roughly this time, this episode, and I listen on this client. And that's all I want to know, really. Anything else you want to tell me would be great. But yeah, if you do that, I will add you to the list of confirmed listeners, and you can get a Steam key of your choice. I'll give you the full list of what we've got. We've got about 30 to 40 games here now. So then you can pick and choose whichever one you want, and it's all free. We don't ask anything other than what I just asked of you. in return.
That's a bargain.
Get in
that is.
touch. It is a bargain. Some good games there. Yeah, get in touch. Anything else you want to say?
No.
No. Good. Well, we'll catch you next time then.
Bye.
Bye.
So, yeah. So that's me doing the show.